ICD 705 stands for Intelligence Community Directive Number 705. It is managed and maintained by ODNI, which stands for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Out of all the intelligence community elements, ODNI is the one charged with overall oversight in how we manage, process, and safeguard classified information for the entire country. There are 17 intelligence community elements, some of which are commonly known, such as CIA, FBI, and Department of Defense, while others are less commonly known. The primary purpose of the 705 policy is to create reciprocity, or a mutually accepted set of standards for safeguarding national security information. The reason we need reciprocity is because prior to the 705 being issued, every agency inside the IC or intelligence community had their own standards, processes, and ways of protecting national security information. Here's a scenario that could happen previous to the ICD 705. Let's say a contractor was going to work with the FBI to develop and accredit a space for classified use. They would incorporate the FBI's processes and standards for building and accrediting the space, and then they would move in and fulfill their program work inside that space. When their program or contract ended with the FBI, they would vacate that space. Now that company is left with an FBI-accredited SCIF sitting vacant. Now let's say that same contractor receives a new contract to work with NSA. Lucky for them, they have one available, right? No, unfortunately, without that uniform set of standards, the NSA is not obligated to allow the contractor to use their existing FBI SCIF for the new program. Turns out NSA likes a few things different than the FBI back when they designed the space. Renovations would now have to be made in order for the company to utilize the existing SCIF space for NSA use. Now that we have the 705 policy, there is reciprocity within the intelligence community. So when a SCIF is built per the standards and accredited by one intelligence community element, all other intelligence community elements mutually accept it as being satisfactory to safeguard national security. This way, all the different opinions and standards within the intelligence community are now eliminated, and facilities are built to the same standards. Let's talk about the history for a moment. The 705 policy came out in May of 2010, and soon after the policy, the technical standards that were attached to the policy were also released for industry use. Those technical specifications are found in the document titled Technical Specifications for Construction and Management of Sensitive Compartmented Information Facilities. So now you know if you ever hear someone say, we need to build in accordance with the ICD 705. What they're actually saying is, we need to build in accordance with Intelligence Community Directive 705 policy, and that policy says that facilities built under this directive must meet the requirements in the tech spec. Since its release in 2010, the 705 policy has remained fundamentally unchanged. However, the tech spec manual has gone through several iterations since then and is actually meant to be a living, changeable document. The committee that oversees the updates to this manual is called the Physical Technical Security Expert Working Group, or PTSWIG. Some changes to this manual have been minor, such as those in version 1.4 update, released in 2018. Other changes can be more significant, such as the ones brought about in version 1.5, released in 2020. When ODNI released the 705 and the tech spec in 2010, these documents only governed facilities that were previously built under the DCID 69 standards or were being currently sponsored and accredited by a non-DoD intelligence community element. For projects being built, sponsored, and accredited under the Department of Defense, the DoD was still using its own standard, a document titled JFAN 69, which was released effectively in 2004. In 2016, as part of this movement towards reciprocity amongst all the intelligence community elements, the DoD adopted the tech spec through their DoD Policy Manual 5205.7. This manual states that any Special Access Program facility must be built in accordance with the physical and technical standards set forth in the tech spec. With the issuance of this manual, we now have two policy documents pointing towards using the tech spec, one for the non-DoD intelligence community elements and the other for the DoD elements.